Okay, let's get into our grocery shopping because it's getting a little crazy lately. There are a lot of times that you come home after you spend hours and hours of shopping, and I feel like you just look at your groceries and you think, man, I got literally like nothing here and I spent an arm and a leg. So I think it's time that we start to sit down and actually prioritize our time on figuring out exactly what it is we should be getting from the store. So first off, where are we shopping? Because there's a lot of factors that you need to think about when you're deciding where you need to go shopping. That can come into play of what kinds of stores we're going to, what we need from the store, and where is the store from you. Because you could think, okay, Aldi is the best place to get my groceries. Now that's 20 minutes this way, and then you're still going to need other things because it's not like Aldi has everything you need. So then say you need a dog food that Aldi doesn't have. So then you have to drive 20 minutes this way just to get dog food. And the amount of gas money that you're using, it's just not, it doesn't make sense to make the trip to Aldi then. If you were to compare your prices of different stores and say that the place that you need the dog store is just the dog food is Walmart, okay? And say that Walmart is pretty much the same as Aldi. There's no reason to go to Aldi when you can just go to Walmart and then you're getting everything you need. Another place to think about also is warehouse grocery outlets. These are the places that they sell to other places and this is what's left over. Now, some of the time you are going to run into expired food. And I know that can kind of scare a lot of people away and it can gross people away, which I understand because most of the time I really don't want to bring home expired food either. So you'll just have to take the time when you go really to look through because it's not everything expired and you can find some of these places that sell produce and it's really good prices, which for me, I think that helps a lot because we have animals and I like to give them greens. Come winter, they're not going to have all of the grass that they can eat. So you have all of this cheaper greens that you can give them. Same with kids because kids fly through things. So that would help too. Another thing to think about when you're thinking about where you want to shop is points, because I know that Weiss's does points, I know that Giant does points, and those can help. It's pretty much the same thing, I feel like, as a coupon. I mean, for some things you get the points, some things you don't, and those points can add up. They do expire over an amount of time. I think Weiss's do, I think it changes, but for the most part I think they do like ice cream, or your eggs can be cheaper, which can be beneficial. Sometimes I think I've seen milk, whereas I know Giant does points, but you can only get points. Actually, I think you can get points for everything from Giant, but sometimes they run things where if you buy a certain amount, then you're getting it for more points. Like sometimes they'll run, I think I've seen diapers before, where if you buy, I think $20 worth of diapers, you were getting 500 points. And that is, what, 50 cents off a gallon of gas, which has, you know, I've done that before and I really like that. But you have to be prepared for what is on sale. And if it's something that you don't need, I wouldn't do it. It's not worth, I don't really think it's worth the points. Same with couponing. So say something is originally $4 and the coupon's $2 off. If that's not something that originally you were planning on getting, that's still an extra $2 that you're going to be spending that you weren't originally going to spend. Bruh. Another important thing to think about is how you're shopping. We can do the online pickup, which I think is really great now, especially if you have kids, because they're not going to be telling you, I want this, adding things to your cart and just making your overall experience bad. And then I just feel like then you kind of forget about the whole list and you're so upset that you're just grabbing whatever you think you need. You go home, you forgot things, then you have to make an extra trip and you're spending the money on the gas for that. I think pickup has been a great thing that we got out of COVID. So you can, even the best thing about picking up from your online order is you already have everything in your cart. You know exactly how much you can spend, and you can easily just take something out of your cart if you're going over budget. And sometimes I'll even add my snacks onto there. Then you realize you're over budget, you go back, and then you realize, you know what, I really don't need that. And then it kind of saves you the hassle. Another important thing for how you're shopping is not to go hungry, which I think that's what a lot of people say, is we don't want to go shopping hungry because then you're grabbing everything, which is true. You just hear it all the time. Another thing I would say is to go alone if you can. I typically don't go with my husband because he's usually working when I go shopping, but I do know a lot of people go with their spouses, and they say that their husband or their wife always strays off and they grab things and they put it in the cart that they didn't need and it wasn't on the list. So I do think going alone would be good. Another thing to do is bulk buy, because bulk buying can be really beneficial, especially if you know the ways that you can preserve it, which we'll get into in a short bit. Bulk buying is great when it's on sale because you're just going to save so much more money instead of individually buying that stuff. That's most of the time when stuff is on sales when I get it. I will bulk buy sometimes because either way you are going to save, compared to buying, if you buy one roll of paper towels compared to a big bag of them, you are going to save a few dollars here, which you can see on the label how much it says per ply, I think it is, for paper towels, which I don't 100% understand that because it's also different. But if you bulk buy, it will be a little bit cheaper. And if it's food and you think you're not going to be able to go through that before it expires or something, then you can, preserve it in other ways, which we will get into in a short bit. Sometimes we have to work for our money, which isn't like, we're not going and making money. That's not what I mean, like going and working actually at a job and making money for it. What I mean is sometimes we have to hunt or fish, or even a lot of the times you could breed. We like to breed rabbits and then you can get the meat from that. I want to say chickens, but right now it's iffy because they do say that it's more expensive to raise your chickens for the eggs than it is to just go out and buy eggs. I think a lot of the times now people are just doing it because they'd like to know where their eggs are coming from, which is most of the reason we do it. We also do it for meat, which I think is benefiting us. But rabbits are an easy thing because they multiply. I mean, what's the saying? Multiply, right? Like rabbits, right? So hunting, fishing, breeding, making your own meat, that is limited because you need the space for it. But if it's something you can do, you should really look into it because I think it's something that's really helpful, especially when you're tight. It is hard. You're gonna have a starting fee for all of that stuff. You have to make the where they're going to be staying, you have to pay for their food, you have to care for them, so it takes the time and the money to start it, but I think it is something that works out for itself in the long run. If you don't want to go the route of a garden, you could also trade. If you say you crochet or you paint or something that you could trade your labors for someone else's. If you know someone that has a garden, maybe, and you don't want to spend the money on buying it, I'm sure that they would be willing if you had something that they wanted to trade it, and then you can make your own little system on that with people then you're not spending the money. Another thing that is going to help you is also working and making a garden, or making your own food. If you go a garden, you're paying for your seeds and that's pretty much it. That's going to be a lot more work than buying it from the store, but it is going to be one of those things that you are going to see how much you're saving from not having to buy all of that from the store. That's another thing that you could freeze, or you can can that stuff, and that will help you for the winter time. So I never think that you can have too big of a garden because you can always save that stuff for the winter, but it is going to take the work for it. But if you're tight on money, that's what's going to be something that helps you out in the summer. You can also do a greenhouse in the winter, which would help. But once again, you're going to have to prepare that and spend the money. Hey, how are we preserving our food? We're getting all of this food that's on sale and it's bulk, but how are we going to preserve that? There are quite a few ways. We can can them. There's water bath canning, or there's pressure canning, or you can just freeze them. You freeze your food. I think there's some things you probably don't want to freeze, but you can freeze bread. There's been lots of times that I have gotten English muffins, just regular bread that's been really cheap, and you just take it home, freeze it. A good investment is a deep freezer, because then you have not unlimited, but you have a lot more space for anything that you've gotten on sale to throw it in there. Another thing you can do is dehydrate. You can dehydrate things. You can make your noodles and you can dehydrate that. You can dehydrate fruits. You can dehydrate, there's just your herbs, lots of stuff you can do. I think that's it. I think I've thrown a lot of random things out there and kind of just sporadic. So I'm hoping that you got something out of this video. And there will be a lot more videos to come about everything that has to do with saving money and really helping your budget. So like, subscribe, comment, you know, whatever. And I will see you next time. Bye.